Welcome to part 19 of Project 308. My name is Trottier, and here we are discussing my 1978 Ferrari 308 GTS. Even though I'm not driving a Ferrari right now, I'm driving my old Porsche. In part 18, I discussed costs, and I omitted one key one that everybody has been asking about. That nobody let me get away without discussing the cost of the paint job. Now, the car that I had painted, part number 10, I believe it was. You can see it here. I took this car to Lawrence Auto Collision, my friend, and him and I discussed it before it went over to him, and we decided that I was going to completely strip the car. What that means is I took every piece of glass out, I took every molding off, I took every piece of rubber off, I even drilled out and took off the molding pieces that wouldn't normally come off. They were riveted on, so I had to drill out all the rivets, and will have to rivet them back on. But I wanted the cleanest job possible, and I got it. I got an absolutely incredible job. I still have loads of work to put the car back together, but that's for another day. Anyways, on to cost. I'm in Canada, but I'm going to work in American dollars because it's more of a universal. Everybody understands what the American dollar is worth.
Now most dudes flick a couple tie-down straps and declare proudly, that thing ain't moving. But our friend here, he's better than that. He doesn't need no stinking tie-down straps. Those are for pansies. I think everybody was okay, but people, really, tie down your loads.
Dollar is worth, so let's talk. So, it converts to about $10,000 for what Lawrence did for this car, which is to prep it, fix a couple minor spots of corrosion, and paint it. Incredible job he did. Now, if you own a similar car, and you don't have the same skill set, and you're not comfortable stripping your own car, which, for most people is kind of fairly high up there, you would expect to pay about $20,000 to $25,000 to paint a Ferrari or any kind of vehicle that is in that sort of league. It is an incredible amount of work, and one that shouldn't be discounted, because the amount of work, the amount of hours that Lawrence put into my car, I'm sure he regrets, the costing that he did, because it was very economical for the amount of hours that he put into that car. Anyways, let's move back on to part number 19.
So why do they call almond milk? Because you know what, if they called it nut juice, that probably wouldn't be appropriate. Anyways, I was trying to think of a great way to segue into my nut quest. Anyways, I've been waiting for this nut for my transfer case to reseal the back end of the transfer case. So I got it, finally, after a couple months of waiting. So let's go do that and revisit that friend, and then we'll move on back to the car. Alright, so if you remember from an earlier episode, I had to hack this off. I had to use a chisel to get this off. I could have put it back on, but I just didn't want to, so I wanted to put a new nut on. So let's put that new nut on. This doesn't look like the right one. No! Tried so many now. Alright, so the nut joke is on me today, I guess, because, again, I have the wrong nut. So, back to the drawing board, and I'm going to try that again. But let's move on to the car. New project in the shop, by the way, a 66 Mustang that needs a whole bunch of work. Not that I'm a Mustang expert, but we'll figure it out. Anyways, looking at the front end of this car, the tires and everything have to come off. Let's see if I can do this backwards. Control arms are going to come off, knuckles are going to come off. I'm basically going to repeat the process of everything I did in the rear, and we're going to start over on the front. But there's so much more, because I've got these new shocks, these bumper shocks here to replace, and I'm going to have to sort out these blower motors here. All this needs to be cleaned and detailed. I'm also fairly certain that I'm going to have to either rebuild the steering rack or replace it. Somewhere in that steering column I have a problem that we have to sort out as well. Let's get started on the front end.
Captain Diabetic.
Thank you.
Well, at least it's off. And it's tough. But I'm missing a shim. Two are here. Hi, Steve. Hello. I've got a total of 3. It should be 2 per side.
Well, from this angle here, if you didn't know that this suspension was attached to a Ferrari, well, you really wouldn't care because it's nothing special. And I'm also thinking that the case that this tiny screwdriver got delivered in, well, it said do not hammer on. Oh, I'm such a rebel. I'm thinking that a trailer bearing might work in here too. What do you think?
I take the cover off.
You can't see him, but Terry's just outside the frame to the left, and he's like the peanut gallery commenting. I really think he needs to go work on the car.
It would be nice if it was slotted and you could make an adjustment to it. That's not proper procedure.
This is not proper procedure?
No, it's not.
Am I supposed to use a press?
Press to pull it off. You know it.
Little spot right there. That's to hit it. You're telling me about proper procedure, but you know you do the exact same thing.
I never said I didn't do it.
You
just
did.
said it's not proper procedure.
Can you step over here for a second, please?
No, I'm just gonna. They
No.
can hear my
Please-
voice.
Please step over
They
here
can
for a
hear
second.
my voice.
So you're calling the kettle black, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Can we like move this car out of the way? It's infringing on my space here. When can we get this beast?
Hey, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean. Help me move this damn car.
Moving that car now.
I ain't moving that damn car now, he says.
No, I said I ain't moving that car
See
now.
that? See that? Like it's cramping my space here.
Copy your style?
Cramping my style, I don't have much of. Space, yes.
Hey, how heavy is this sucker?
It requires 4 men. But where are we going to put it?
On top of the body.
This half green, half red contraption here, well, it's a 1981 Puma. Look it up. It's pretty cool. Anyways, this car is going to be our first electric car conversion. Who's interested in a YouTube series on that? Raise your hands. Here's a tip for you. Don't bother taking the cotter pins out when you know you're throwing the ball joint or the tie rods out anyways. Don't waste your time, just break them off. I'm good at breaking stuff.
Oh, that's stuck. That arm is really stuck in there, so I'm going to have to work on that a bit. I'm going to throw some penetrating oil on it overnight. It's the end of the day, it's 5 p.m. right now. And give her a crack again in the morning, but I may have to take some more drastic measures tomorrow. But let's get that in there for now. Alright, so we got this lower control arm here. That's the remaining component that's got to come off. I've taken everything else off, but it's kind of stuck a little bit. It needs a little bit of hammer action. And I'm sure I'm going to offend all of you people who are couch mechanics. But sometimes you just got to hit things with a hammer.
But the couch mechanic will give you an exclusion if you hit said Ferrari with a hammer blessed by the god himself, Enzo.
But it's the skill. It's the skill into which you swing that hammer. Can you swing it in a very dedicated, specific way? And that's the true testament between somebody who has swung a hammer 10,000 times and somebody who's just swung it once. Let's see what I can do. Alright, I'm just going to thread these nuts back on. And if I'm lucky, this arm is not that seized. And then I'm just going to tap on these bolts, these nuts, and see if I can't budge this thing. Yes, there are some alignment shims over here. They came with the arm.
I'm going to be talking about the steering and the intermediate shaft U-joints in a couple minutes, but I just wanted to show you this before I took the suspension apart on the passenger side. Of course, you've already seen this once on the other side, so we're just going to speed through it a bit. Mental note for myself, passenger side spindle nut, reverse thread. Remember a minute ago when Terry gave me crap for improper procedure? Well, this is what he wanted me to use. I'm just showing you that I know how to use it. And to be perfectly honest, this ball joint / tie rod separator isn't even really required for this. Everything is falling apart.
Alright, so last but not least on this front suspension journey right today is going to be this sway bar, the front anti-roll bar, and we'll remove it as well. It doesn't look that hard. 12 volts. What there?
Man,
Piddly?
Italy. It's not the word for it. I think the ones in my go-kart are just about the same size.
Hey.
That's not a lie. The ones in my go-kart is about the same size.
So what you're saying is they don't have the girth that you're looking for.
No.
4 bolts here, and we should be able to get that rack out fairly easily. Trying to determine where the problem is in that steering where it's notchy. All right, here we are. Starting at our steering wheel, we can see that the nut is loose. There's definitely a problem. I think somebody's been trying to troubleshoot the problem. As we move down here, we can see there's a steering universal joint there, and we can see another one back there. Let me see if I can focus on that one. 2 steering universal joints. And as I turn the steering wheel, I can feel it freeing up and going. And I'm pretty sure it's one of those joints is seized. But process of elimination, remove the steering rack. If the problem is still here, then I know it's there.
Hey, don't get me wrong, I was going to take the steering rack out anyways because I want to change all the boots and all the tie rods on it, and I need it out of the way so that I can clean the inner fender wells. So it just serves 2 purposes to take it out.
This side. Well, maybe it's not seized, maybe it just needs more balance and energy.
Just in case you don't know what you're looking at right now, this is the driver's side of the steering rack. I'm working on the locking bolt that joins the upper steering shaft to the steering rack. I gotta separate them so I can get the steering rack out.
I did good. All right, good. That didn't feel good for a bit. So this doesn't look like the factory bolt. What I'm gonna have to do is I'm just gonna have to open that up a bit to loosen it a bit. But I'll do that after I get all the bolts out for the steering rack. I'll let that penetrate in there for a while. That's a 15. Doesn't want to come out. Okay. Well, this just fell out of somewhere. Where'd this come from? Bolts falling from the sky.
Yeah, I know that was a nut and not a bolt. So you don't need to tell me. Thanks.
Okay, let's go to the other side now. Check out the spray foam. God only knows why that's there. Okay, back to the other side. Again. I need to be able to drop the whole steering rack down in order to separate it from that union right there. Okay, so looking inside the car, it's actually welded inside the car, so we do actually have to do it here. So these 2 nuts off, and then we'll go into the car. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, there we go. There we go. moment of truth. Let's see if the problem is still here. It is. Okay. Leave that for another day. Thanks for watching part 19. Catch you in 20.